Hey, how's everybody doing out there in Instagram land? My name is David Casson, and I thought it'd be kind of cool to do studio chats with artist friends of mine. Because we're kind of scattered all over the country and everything, and all over the world actually. And I thought it'd be kind of cool to do these little live feeds. We have basically like from my space, my studio, to their studio. I'm gonna call it Studio to Studio. Really original. And have you guys kind of sit in our little catch-ups, because I haven't talked to the artist that we're talking with today is Mario Robinson, and it's been a minute since I've talked with him and seen what he's up to. I mean, I follow him on Instagram, like you guys all should. I'll put his Instagram on here. It's at Mario Robinson. Let's see if I can do this. I think it's at Mario Robinson, right there. I believe that's him. I don't know if he has art after his name or anything, but he's going to come on here and he'll be able to also type it in. But welcome to my studio. I am in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and I believe Mario, I don't actually know where Mario is at. I think he's somewhere on the East Coast somewhere, because we're doing it East Coast time. So it should be 3 p.m. East Coast time, coming on here just a little bit early. So if you guys hang tight for another minute or two, Mario will probably jump on, hopefully, and we'll talk about kind of what he's working on, what I'm working on, all that type of stuff. You guys can, maybe we'll just have a chat in the beginning, and then we'll ask some questions. Hold on one second. Look at that. Was my wife's computer in the studio. She's gonna be in here probably working. Her easel's actually right behind mine in our little home studio space that we have. Yeah, Mario Robinson. Thanks, Data Plan Cowboy. So I'm gonna keep an eye out here for him to join in. And we're gonna probably post these conversations also online. I'm looking to get another Instagram account that I can kind of post all of them. Hopefully do this once a week, maybe every 2 weeks or so, while I'm traveling, and make it kind of a thing. Let's see. So if you guys have any questions at all, I think we're gonna kind of hold off questions for the end. Where is everybody coming in from? I see Turkey, I see Colombia, I see Iran, Argentina. That's very cool. Some places I want to visit really badly. I've been to Turkey. I haven't been to Argentina yet. I've been to Italy. Italy's amazing. Italy's beautiful. We're actually teaching in Italy. My wife and I are teaching there next May, which is going to be great. Finland is incredible. Brazil, I've taught in Brazil. Never been to India. I really want to go to India. NYC, never been to NYC. Hey Aaron, Larry, how's it going? Aaron's creative. It's Larry. I see London. I see France. What's up, Anthony? Tony. Good to see people on here I know in real life. Oh, thanks, Honey Yusuf. It's hard for me to read my, okay, so Mario is here, guys. So I'm gonna send a request right now to let him in. How's it going?
Pretty good. How are you? Can you hear
Good.
me?
I can hear you. This is awesome. You can hear me? We're all good?
I can. I can see
Rock
you
and roll.
too. Good to see you.
It's been forever, man.
I know it has. That's the first thing I thought about. It's been too long, man.
Yeah, I said it's been a minute.
Yeah.
We
No.
we've done this stuff like this for a long time, actually. I think we did Sketchbook Live together a way back when. That was kind of a fun little project, pre-podcasting.
I know. I know.
I was thinking about.
You were like an innovator when it came to. I didn't even
I
know what
was.
Facebook was before you.
Uh,
Like, yeah.
the operative word there is was.
Was.
I'm just too lazy now. Although I think that I think this stuff's cool because it's not as high maintenance as a podcast. And so
Yeah.
if we could just have a conversation, catch up and stuff, what you're working on for a half hour, 45 minutes at the most. It's low impact. You know what I
Is
mean?
it
I
your
think
first
it's,
one? Did I miss any that you done?
no, this is the first one, and I don't know how to promote it or anything quite yet. I'm just, I came up with the idea yesterday or whatever, or a couple days ago. I messaged you a while back saying we should do this. And then I was
Yeah,
like, we'll just do a little, I did a little branding thing, which is super easy this morning and posted it on my stories, which I think you reposted. Thanks. And I
yeah,
think it's kind of cool. I can share with the people that follow me, my favorite artists, you know, and
sure.
friends. And I think
Appreciate
it's
that.
kind of awesome. And artists that I appreciate who are doing, I think, important work, you know. So I feel like you're one of those guys, you
I
know.
appreciate
So
it. I
first off,
appreciate it.
where are you right now? Where are you at? Are
I'm
you
in I'm in Alabama. I've
right
been
on?
here since the end of 2019, and then the pandemic hit. So I was like, okay,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So it's kind of like good to be, you know, away from New York. My original idea was to kind of like get away from the whole scene. And remember that show I had at Pratt that you came to?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and, and then I followed that up with a show at Bernaducci in Chelsea, and
I
things
remember
would just
that.
start going back to back. And I was just like, I just need a little bit of a break, traveling and whatnot. So that was my initial idea, and then COVID just took it all the way. So I'm still here, so it's great, man. You know.
Yeah, no, I totally feel you with the taking a break thing. I don't think I ever want to exhibit again after having solo shows. I'm just kind of done. But my son's
Is-
here actually in Albuquerque. I'm in Albuquerque, New Mexico right now.
oh, I haven't seen Lucas since he was a little
Do you want to
kid.
see him real quick? I'll have
Yeah,
you come here.
yeah.
Pop in real quick. Hello.
Hey, Lucas, how are you? Is he wearing camo?
What's up? Okay, cool, man. I'll talk to you in a little bit. Life goes on, right? uh, yeah, no, we just got back from a rafting trip a few days ago, which is pretty cool. We were up in
I saw the
Utah,
picture. Look,
and
yeah,
yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was like glamping though, which is kind of not. When I was a kid, I used to camp a lot. Like every week, every month, I would go different places up until I was
yeah,
about 18 and went to college, and then I didn't really camp
yeah,
since. And this was kind of like we didn't have to set up anything. We had guides that would set up and cook for us, and if I didn't, I set up our tent and I helped out washing dishes and all that other stuff. But if I didn't do that, they would have done it for me, and I'm like, that's crazy. So it was
yeah. It doesn't
kind of neat.
sound.
It was kind of cool though.
Yeah,
It was really fun. So okay, so you're in Alabama. I've been there before. I've been to Birmingham and Montgomery
yeah,
just for like
yeah.
a week and a half because I was teaching at UAB in Birmingham. I was doing not really teaching. I
Okay,
was like a visiting artist slash working in the printmaking department, doing an edition of prints
yeah,
that it was kind of
yeah.
fun. It was so weird though, how coming from the East Coast to the like
Mm-hmm.
deep South, especially Montgomery, you know, and I talked to a lot of people there. It felt oppressive a little bit. And I don't know if you do you
Yeah.
feel like there's a big difference, and is that affecting your work in any way?
Um, that's two good questions. The first one I would say is, of course, because it's a big country, but it's also um, very regional. So I think living up in New York area kind of walls us off from a lot of. There's tourists that come from different places, but that doesn't really affect our conversations and the way we see the world and the things that we see every day. So I did realize how sheltered we are. It's pretty progressive here in Huntsville. It's like northern Alabama, but like you said, when you say the word Montgomery, and even Birmingham, when you go south, it starts to feel a little bit, yeah, oppressive. So it's just a different way of. They're not doing anything different. It's really me having to make a shift and get used to Trump flags everywhere and pickups everywhere. And I have family in Oklahoma that I visit also, so I'm used to the red state thing. My mom lives here, and I've, you know, kind of used to it. But as far as affecting my work, I don't let any of that affect my work. My work stands alone as my personal, how do you say, diary, the things that I feel. I don't like outside forces influencing me to have to make statements about it. Um, and that's one thing I like to keep clean, you know, because when I look back, if my emotions go like this, I look back and say, wow, that person made my work look like this, or I had to say something about this. It's just really how I feel. And I've taken some flack about it, painting different people of different ethnicities and art models lately. I think I had a conversation with you at Face. Um, I think, I remember
Did
when
I
that,
give you flack?
you didn't give me flack.
You're like, I'm taking flack. And actually,
No,
we
we
had a
had a
conversation.
conversation. It was a really good conversation. It wasn't more, it was because up until that point, I had done very, uh, I would say, predictable imagery when it came to African Americans. And I was starting to paint art models a little bit more. You're one of my closest friends. I consider you a good sounding board. It was out in LA. And I told you, I'm gonna mix up and do this. You were like, Mario, I don't know. I don't. And it was coming from a, I think we all have a selfish thing when we see art that we appreciate and we've grown with a little bit. Like with your work, like I would probably give a little pushback if you told me you were gonna go totally against what I'd come to know you for, abstraction or something else. Um, but yeah, I just react to things in my own way and not let outside forces influence me, you know, in a stubborn way.
So what are you working on right now? What the concept type stuff are you bringing to your work? And so, or
Um,
subject matter, or what are your thought processes on that?
right now, coming back from Nantucket for the last 2 weeks, I'm really in this kind of mindset of doing landscapes and seascapes and more nature than portraits. Portraiture is great. I love it. But being out there and finally being able to be outside again, it gave me a real appreciation for painting from life and being out in nature. And right now, in this particular moment, I'm working on getting back to pastel and working on something for the Pastel Live conference. Wish I could show you, but I can't. You know how that goes. Um,
What is the Pastel Live conference?
so Streamline does this thing where they have a Zoom conference. So Eric Rhodes is doing it. I participated in Watercolor Live, and it was like a big successful uh, thing, I guess, because everybody's inside and wanting some kind of connection. So he decided to do Pastel Live. So what they're going to have is demonstrations, and I think your friend, good friend Pierre, is going to do a talk on the history of pastels.
That's
I'm
cool.
going to do portrait demonstration. So there'll be like breakout rooms, and it kind of felt like a conference when I did the Watercolor Live. So that's going to be the first week in August. So I'm working on a demo for that right now. I like that. Didn't you do a drawing of that one in the background?
Oh,
That por-
Grace. Yeah, I
yeah.
painted her. She's one of my really close friends. His wife. I don't know if you met
Yeah.
David Lemire, a kid I grew up with. Kid. I mean, we're both adults now, but anyway,
Yeah.
he married Grace a while back, and I wanted to paint her as soon as I met her. She's got a great look. So this is kind of like
That's
my take on the girl with the pearl earring. And
I was gonna say
I was looking at
that's
some older
really
references and stuff to paint during COVID because I wanted to do another, just a quick portrait study. And then
yeah,
a quick
yeah.
portrait study turns into I spend like maybe a week on it or 2 weeks, and I put it aside, work on another painting, and then I bring it back, and then I work on it for another month or two. I just take forever on stuff, and which is cool. You know what I mean? It's like bringing back a good book, and you can
Yeah,
like go
yeah,
exactly where you were just at in the book, and so you can constantly work on stuff back and
yeah.
forth. And so she's back on the easel. I'm also painting a survivor, Cecile. Actually, it's a painting I'm having a really hard time with. That
Mm,
this painting is going easier, so I
yeah.
switch back and forth. So I'm not totally drowning in self doubt. I have
Is
like
there
a
more emotion?
lifeline painting.
Is there more emotion with the survivors? Is that
Um, I don't know. It's funny. I don't think that. I think the emotion I get with anything I do comes from the people that are viewing it more so and
mm,
learning the story about the person as opposed to anything that I can assume that I put into a painting. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't
yeah,
have the assumption that, oh, I'm just going to fill this with emotion because I'm so good. Do you know what I
yeah,
mean? That I'm
yeah.
like, I'm going to paint it. I'm going to be really honest and I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
document it to the best that I can do for the
Mm-hmm.
longest amount of time that I need to put on a painting. And
Mm-hmm.
if that's a conduit in a way that somebody captures emotion from it, then that's kind of a success. You know, that's the best I can do. I can't. I'm not. Yeah, I never make assumptions about almost anything I do. You know that this is going to be my most powerful piece or whatever. Do you know what I mean? I just want to make the work, and for me, it's experiencing it. That if someone else can get something from that, then that's cool.
I'm laughing because Victoria Wyeth is teasing me about candles. I always have candles in the background.
Oh, really? That's awesome.
She's like, that's not masculine. But I like that point because when I look at your work, when I think about your work and the way you work, I think it is about the viewer because you're a master when it comes to draftsmanship and you care about everything you're putting down. So I think that preponderance of evidence on a paper or a canvas helps the viewer to feel emotion, to bring things to it because it's so vibrant and real. So I can see that rather than you putting emotion, you're really going about the job of being an artist, being true to your craft. And then once we see it, it's just an overwhelming display of skill and craftsmanship, and then ultimately the emotion does spill over. So I like that.
Cool. Oh, thanks, man.
Me,
Yeah,
I'm less of a draftsman. I'm
what? Really?
just emotion. Yeah, I think because I painted family members and like people that I just kind of, I think that carries me over, you know. Yeah, I believe so. I think I think it comes on the back end, my draftsmanship. I believe, you know.
I don't know, I think they're really, really, really well drawn, the pieces, you know, and it's all not even just draftsmanship in a way of getting proportions correct, but there's a compositional aspect that is unique that I think is hard to, you can't, it's a natural thing that I think people have. You can't really teach it necessarily, of understanding where lights and darks and contrast should be within a piece that you have. And that's what I think of draftsmanship, as opposed to this eye is perfect to this eye. Because Rembrandt didn't have perfect leveling of everything, but he had so much humanity in what he painted and how he painted that it came through. Not everything had to be exactly what his model is. Do you know what I mean? I aim for that, but and I fail on that a lot. But the always striving. But I think that I think you definitely have the draftsmanship.
I appreciate that.
Thank you. Get that at? So you studied at Pratt?
I did,
yeah.
And that's the thing. Pratt has a reputation of kind of being kind of modern and just do what you feel. But I did get a lot of structure there from the anatomy classes and the color theory. And if you are a little open to the more whimsical and the modern approach, you can fall really deeply into that. But I was lucky to have maybe about 10 friends. We would do like life drawing at night and get models and stuff like that, because I just really didn't understand modernism when I went into school. I was not that learned. I hadn't been to museums or anything, so I really stuck with the realism part of it at Pratt. It was a little bit of a unicorn, but I think being in Brooklyn and going to the museums and having people from different countries, I think that's what I got from Pratt mostly. I got a Pratt bred in there, Dennis, 72. That's before my time. But yeah, Pratt was a great experience. You went to Syracuse. What was that?
Yeah, it was cool. I mean, I lucked out. I think I kind of I got into a few schools. My uncle had actually gone to Pratt like way in I think in the
Is that right?
50s, and he told me not to go there. He was very like, he said it was so, he just said it was extremely difficult. That like they, at that time they were only graduating like a handful of students that applied. I think it was different during our time. Do you know what I mean? I don't think even like the worst kids in my classes at Syracuse flunked. I don't think they even gave out Fs. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was kind of crazy. I think that
participation award.
Yeah.
Like
it was kind of, well, it's not a participation award unless you write the check. You know?
That's true.
So I get it. I totally get it. But Syracuse was great because it was like an art school within a giant university. And so like I learned the technical basics of drawing, painting, and pretty. I was in illustration, so it was very like rubber meets road. Here's how you do things. Here's how you plan out an idea, and then here's how you execute it and make it visually communicate to others. And that was great. But we
Yeah.
also had like philosophy classes. We had a philosophy department. We had a writing department. We had
Wow.
there was a whole tech thing, you know what I mean, where I was starting to build websites when I was in college because we had a tech like you could take classes in the school of management, the school of this, the school of that, you know. So it
Yeah.
was school of
Yeah.
philosophy, and so it was, and it wasn't like an add-on to an art school, you know what I mean? It wasn't just an art
Yeah.
school with a little bit of liberal arts that you go. I mean, I think the only art school I would have probably done better at would have been at RISD because you have Brown across the street,
Right there.
essentially,
Yeah.
and then that's where they take their liberal arts at Brown. So I felt
Yeah.
like it had that same kind of vibe as that at
Yeah.
Syracuse. And also, my dad went to Syracuse, and my older brother went to Syracuse before me. He's 12 years older than me, and so I was like kind of following along legacy-wise. And I love football and basketball and stuff like that. So
Oh,
it was great to wake up on Saturday morning and go to a football game in the fall. And
yeah. You
we
went
love
to a real
sports, my wife and I. So and
you went to a real university. You got the experience of a full university.
yeah, yeah, it was pretty cool. And my wife went to University of Texas, and Syracuse beat University of Texas in football a long time
UT?
ago. It's the only time they ever played. So I just want to put that
Really?
out there if she's listening.
They beat the Longhorns?
She's a
That's
really
pretty good.
big college sports fan. I'm more into NFL and NBA and stuff. But anyway,
Yeah.
that's a divergence.
Yeah.
So what's currently on your easel?
The demo for the live. If we weren't on this, I would show you, but I
Yeah,
can't
yeah.
jump the shark. That's why I'm kind of in my living room, or else I would be in there. Yeah,
Studio to living room. That's what we're calling it.
yeah. That's my whole life, man. That's my whole life. Because I have nothing else. But I do have another question for you. I know this is your interview, but who's your like top 3 artists that you kind of look to? Because you have a very specific style, but I also know that you're pretty eclectic in your taste.
Like living or dead, or does it matter?
Both. Doesn't matter.
Both. I mean, it's really funny.
Go
I love.
go 3 to number 1. Go backwards.
Oh shoot.
Number
I
3 to
mean,
1.
God, there's so many on the same level, kind of, because
Really? Okay.
well, I feel like I look at artists. I'm always like, "Ah, I love that they do this part, or they do this,
Mm-hmm.
and they do that,
Mm-hmm.
and it could be their entire being. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
uh, David Carson. I don't know if you know David Carson. He's a
I
graphic
do.
designer,
I
and
do.
he has a master class now. I actually haven't watched it yet. I'm kind of saving it. So
Mm-hmm.
he was the art director for Ray Gun Magazine, or creative director for Ray Gun Magazine back in the day.
Yeah.
And I just love that grunge typography kind of
Yeah.
setup and design and collage.
I can see
But
that.
I love him for that, you know what I mean? And aspects
Yeah.
of what he does there. But then I don't know what he paints figures like. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so I try to combine different aspects of who I love, because someday I want to take all these pieces and I want to be the artist. I want to be the artist that I love by
Yeah.
learning from all these different artists. But I mean, there's so many great painters out there right now that I love parts of what they do fully.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In a way. And I think we kind of take from artists to kind of add to our own voice, maybe our own ingredients.
For
I
sure.
think that because I'm starting a painting pretty soon of Shayna that's going to be
Mhm.
50 by 80 inches. It's going to harken back to my older work. So she's going to be kind
Oh,
of
really?
suspended in a circle, kind of, that's got typography and collage all behind her. That is based
Wow.
after I do a lot of collage work on my own for fun. Another
Yeah.
type of art that I don't really share with anybody.
Is that
I do
right?
mostly figurative, but I want the figures and the collage to live in the same world like I used to do.
Yeah.
And some of my early shows at Gallery Hennock were like that. So I want to go back to that. It's hard to do that with the survivors because I want their stories to kind of come forward. So a lot of those pieces are a little bit sparser. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's about
Mhm.
them versus me. This is about me.
Yeah.
coming through, and the textures I love, and the design I love. Alarm set for.
So you're gonna bring back that background you used to do, like the background, the rustic
Yeah, yeah,
kind of back.
I'm gonna start doing it, but doing it better because I've been kind of studying it in the background while I do the figures as well. So I think it's going to be better.
Yeah,
And so for that aspect, I look a lot at David Carson, and then I mean artists who really are just dripping with truth and honesty. I mean, one of your guys, your favorites, is
yeah,
Wyeth, obviously. You know, just the
yeah, yeah,
an artist that he's like an artist that you can go to that part of Philadelphia or Pennsylvania, you know, the Brandywine, and you feel like you're in his painting. And
yeah.
that's it's just dripping with honesty. And I think that's kind of what I never want to make an inauthentic mark
Mm-hmm.
or part of a painting. And I think that it
Mm-hmm.
comes from being like, what would Andrew Wyeth do? You
Mm-hmm.
know, and I think that that's really important. So he's like one of my top guys. But I also love artists like Rauschenberg. Robert
Yeah,
Rauschenberg is another one of my favorites with his
yeah.
Combine paintings. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
one of my most looked at books is the
Mm-hmm.
Combine painting books. I mean, in my studio right now, I have it's kind of cool since it's Studio to Studio. I have like a book of Burt Silverman's.
I love that one. Yeah,
So so I'm having a hard time with this painting, and so I'm going back to looking at like painters I love. So I'm looking at Burt. I have Courbet. Looking at Courbet, and then I have
that's great.
it's funny, and I have Vince Desiderio.
That's an area. Yeah, I'm seeing
You
your
know what I
mind.
mean?
I'm seeing your
So
mind.
it's
Yeah, I'm learning.
hopefully Vince will do one of these with me one of these days. And I got Aikens over here on the floor. The books are on the
Mm,
floor like all scattered, like encroaching in my space. But it's I'm trying to find answers through other people's artwork right now about something I'm
sure,
struggling with.
for sure.
And yeah, so it's so
I love
those.
that.
I mean, but my favorites are. I mean, again, a guy who is dripping with truth, who's contemporary, is Antonio Lopez
Yeah.
Garcia.
No, you
You
painted
know,
him. Right. Didn't you draw him?
yeah,
That,
yeah. No, I totally lucked out, and he probably won't remember me at all. But
mhm.
I met him twice. I went and hung out in his studio for about an hour, actually an hour and a half, and we had videotaped it and everything. And it was pretty awesome. And then I painted him
That was nice.
back in I think in 2010. He actually sat for me for about 4 hours, and I did a quick like alla prima painting,
That was
which is
nice.
probably the only painting I have that I will never sell out of anything I
Mm,
have. Because you're
yeah.
probably the same way with your work. Is like if you have work in the studio, it's like you had that experience in that painting and you're done.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a product. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? But
Yeah.
then I have so many paintings that are on the floor in my studio that I just knock into, I bump into. Hopefully, I don't damage them where I can't repair it. But when someone buys a painting from us, you know what I mean? They put it on
Yeah.
the wall. It's
Yeah.
kind of it's sacred to them. It's something that they paid money for. They take better care of the art than we probably do. You
For
know.
sure.
So I
For
think that
sure.
I feel like I always say I run an orphanage for paintings. You know what I mean? Like I want to give them good homes after they're done, just so that they're safe from me.
For
You
sure. For
know?
sure. That leads me to my next question. I've just totally hijacked
Jeez.
the process.
Yeah. What?
I've hijacked your process because I haven't talked to you in a while. But these are some
Yeah.
things that I kind of identify with you a little bit more because we were in the same area for so long before this whole social media thing. You get friends, on
Yeah.
social media.
Yeah.
But how do you make that decision between, maybe um, like holding on to something versus, like you say, giving it a home and letting someone else appreciate it?
Yeah. No. That painting is just the one of Antonio Lopez I did. It just brings me right back to that moment of no one's going to appreciate it as much as I do,
Yeah,
so I want to
yeah.
keep it. Do you know what I mean? That's it.
At the
Other
bar.
stuff again, I'm not. I guess I appreciate it, but I want to have the paintings of the survivors out there so that
Hmm.
they're there to tell their story
Yeah,
in the paintings, and so I want to get those out of my studio and in places, either museums or in really good like private collections or public collections.
yeah,
So, but that painting is it's just kind of marked a time period in my life that I was
hmm,
really stoked and met one of my heroes in painting. You
yeah.
know that seemed so distant and kind of a legend to me when I
Definitely.
was like growing up as an artist. Like we would hear stories of Antonio, but he lived in Madrid. You know, and
Yeah.
who goes out to Madrid all the time? And then 2010, I was actually able to go to Portugal to teach, and then for a few years in a row, and then I went over to Madrid a couple times. And a friend of mine just, who was a former student, put me in touch with him. Just surprised me to meet him
Wow.
because he
That
knew
is
how much I enjoyed his work. You know,
that is
but not
crazy.
enjoying his work where I want to copy him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more
Mm-hmm.
interested in kind of the thoughts on how he sees the world, not necessarily how he paints the world in a
Mm-hmm.
way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think that's too many people want to copy other artists. I
For
think
sure.
that, and it keeps them from being themselves. You
Mm-hmm.
know, and I think that having his work ethic, you know what I mean, and just how again how dripping with honesty and authenticity his paintings are,
Very much.
is like the role model that I want to take into my own work through my own thoughts, my own life. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I think you do the same exact thing.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I see the honesty in his work, and it's relentless.
Yeah,
It's not
relentless. That's a
going
great
for
word
a
for it.
market kind of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, he's painting bathrooms, and um, but yeah, I know I've asked you a lot of questions, but I definitely wanted to ask about the marketing
I
versus
thought you
what.
wanted to know like the shrimp and grits recipe that Shay made last time. I
Oh
think we
God! Oh,
from the
oh my
studio
God!
in
That brings
Brooklyn.
that was literally like 10 years ago.
Probably. I don't even know. I hope no, it wasn't that long ago because I've been with Shay for 7 years now, which is crazy.
It was
It
probably about
seems yeah,
yeah, it
it
was
seems
probably
like we just got together like last year, you know,
yeah,
but it's been 7 years, and yeah,
yeah.
we're coming up on our second year of marriage, which is crazy.
That is crazy.
Yeah. So she was here for a half second typing away on the keyboard, and I think she figured that her typing was too loud, so she left.
I, that's looking over. But getting back to your inspiration, that's kind of why I ask that question sometimes, just to see where artists are, because your answers tell a lot about you. You're not copying the styles or the what you're seeing, on the surface level. You're after something deeper.
Yeah.
And you've always been an inquisitive person, so that doesn't surprise me. You've always been um, confident in who you are, but also asking questions and curious about like doing something like this.
Yeah,
Asking.
no, I this is actually very self-serving for me because I want to be asking the questions.
I'm totally.
Yeah.
You said 30 minutes. I've hijacked at least 20 of it,
Has
but
it been?
yeah.
But I see. I know all about myself. I don't need a. I don't need to. Well, I think I
Well,
do. There we go.
you think you do.
Get
You
a
think you.
therapist maybe.
You
But
think you do. So I'm asking.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah. No,
it's all
totally.
about myself.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
ask.
So,
You know.
so back to you, really quick, because I
Yeah.
said I was only going to take about 30 minutes of your time because I want to keep these like super light and chill.
Yeah.
Um, what do you have coming up? You don't have any shows coming up. You have that pastel thing. Wasn't there a
I do.
documentary that was filmed on you also? I think I
Uh,
remember some brothers or something like that, or
Yeah, yeah. The Brass Brothers came down when I was in Jersey, and they filmed a thing. They called it Truth, and it's been
nice.
viewed like a billion times. It was just like the music, that dramatic music, and they came to the studio, and I was painting, and they had the ocean in the background, and it just like you've been interviewed, so it's kind of like when you start talking about, I got emotional because I didn't know how this thing was going to turn out. I went to art school, I went into the army.
Yeah,
Um, then you're an adult and you have to kind of make your own life. So I got kind of emotional when he was interviewing me because I was like, wow, it's like a walk down memory lane, talking about when I first started out. And, I think people see the career and see me as an adult, like where I am now. But, a lot of sweat equity goes into it, a lot of struggle. Um, a lot of uncertainty. So, and I didn't have social media. I didn't have internet when I started. So when they filmed it, I kind of it was honest. It was raw because I was like, wow, this could have went totally another way. And then no one would
yeah,
be talking about any of this, you know? So I think that's why I was viewed so many times. And then they went and I introduced them to Bo Bartlett. And then like right during that shoot, so right after that, they went and filmed one on Bo and then did a Helga. They're good
nice.
at what they. Yeah, they're really
Yeah.
good at what they.
Bo's another one of my favorites. Gotta add him in there.
Bo,
He's amazing.
yeah.
I just saw
Yeah,
his show at Miles McHenry that he just had. He had
oh,
a couple
I
months ago.
wish I could. Yeah, you
It
were in
was,
New York recently.
yeah, yeah.
How was it?
I go there once a month or so. Go back because my
Yeah.
Lucas lives there, so I try to go hang out with him as much as possible. He's out here for the summer right now for like a month and a half, maybe a month and a week
Nice.
only. This sucks, but and then I go back and forth and stuff and visit him. But it's really interesting that
Nice.
you say this because I feel like going back to the film and filming kind of your origin story, which is kind of neat. I think people
Yeah.
on social media think that we were fully formed because
Mm-hmm.
of when social media
Mm-hmm.
kind of hit. Um, but we go way beyond social media because of meeting way back. I think, well, when did we meet? Like
Yeah.
2009, 2008? Maybe
Yeah,
even earlier?
it might have been seven at the Selma.
2007?
Yeah, Selma
Oh,
Gundy.
that's right. And
Yeah.
was it the National, not the National Arts Club, was it? Were you a member of
No,
that?
remember you were like, you remember over there? We should walk over there and have beers. So we went from the Selma Gundy to the National Arts Club that night, and that's when I
Yeah.
found Facebook was.
Oh, okay.
You were taking pictures. I'm like, where is this going? Why are you taking pictures with your phone? I was so naive and I had no idea what any of the social media was. And
Yeah,
yeah, you were logged into Facebook, and I found out that night at the National Arts Club what Facebook was
that's funny.
from you.
That's so funny. I'm the gateway drug for
Yeah,
Facebook.
yeah, you ruined my life. Thank you.
Jeez.
But yeah, David, like if I was on the outside looking into any artist with any kind of career or following or whatever, or in a magazine, I would feel like they came from maybe, I don't know, money or a family of artists. I wouldn't know how they got here, but there's a lot that goes into it. You have to really, there's some uncertainty that you have to mentally really be prepared for. You know, when it's not working or it's not selling, especially in the lean years, I had to really reach deep. And it's not just the love of painting and drawing, it's survival. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
you're looking at your art not only for inspiration and enjoyable good time, but this is going to have to take care of me. You know, how do you do that? So that's why I asked you about holding on to things that you love, but also having to put them out there in the world, not as a necessity, but as a fluid thing when it comes to, you know, having a career.
Yeah.
So
No, it's yeah, survival is a really interesting aspect too, because I think that I mean, I guess it's kind of it's really weird to think about artists that have a lot of money or come from family structures that they have maybe it's an easier transition versus artists that have nothing that have worked their
hmm
way up for I don't know if one way is good or bad. The other way, I
hmm
probably have my own opinions. I probably wouldn't state them here.
yeah, for
But
sure.
my dad was a pilot in the Air Force and everything, and I luckily was able to go to college, you know,
hmm
and
hmm
moved to Brooklyn right after college and had to struggle to be in New York City and be a better painter. And I still remember the shitty paintings I did early on that thankfully no one has ever seen. You know what I mean? That there's no photos of. I have some in the garage, but so it's kind of interesting the origin story of the artist that I actually notice on podcasts when I listen to them. Um, the suggested donation guys, they always will have an artist in and they talk about, well, tell me where you started from, and that's the interesting part to me is to
Yeah.
see where like Jacob Collins started or Vincent
hmm
Various started and all those
hmm
guys, you know, that were
hmm
kind of the fully formed artists that I saw that was influenced
Yeah,
me when I was coming into New York City in
for sure.
2000. Yeah, I came
Back
in
in
New York in 1999. I moved there, so yeah, it's kind of neat to
oh
and fully function like Harvey Dinnerstein and Bert Silverman and those guys who were my heroes. You know, who I was
yeah,
able to study with at the Art Students League, thanks to
yeah.
unemployment insurance. You know, like I got unemployment insurance, I was able to go to school at the Art Students League. And my
Oh really?
apartment in Brooklyn was only like $600 a month or something, maybe even $500 a month. So I was lucky that New York City wasn't too expensive to live in at the time that I moved there. And that's only
hmm
20 years ago,
I
which is
know.
crazy, 21 years ago.
I know.
So it's,
No.
I definitely luck. luck and hustle, you know, and you make your own luck with your hustle, you know.
For
You have
sure.
to put yourself in a place as an artist to be able to accept any luck that's going to happen. You know what I mean?
That's a good point.
So I think that that's something my wife and I have found a lot in our works. You know, both being painters, which I'm sure you'll learn, is
Yeah,
it's a wild ride. It's a wild ride.
yeah, because you can work as hard as you want. Um, you know, those two things have to line up. The opportunity, you know, the right kind of opportunity to break things open sometimes, and the hard work. You know, one without the other is kind of futile. So I
Yeah,
think, you know, it is interesting to hear people's stories because Jacob Collins has a very different story than myself. I'm sure yours. And it's always funny to see how people, what they do with those opportunities on that side. You know, talked about Andrew Wyeth. He had, you know, much better lot in life than I did, but he could have squandered it and been out on yachts and doing any, you know, frivolous stuff. But he worked hard, really,
yeah.
really.
No, that's what I also think about some of the artists that do kind of come from means. It's great that they're
Mhm.
not squandering what
That's
they
right.
or they use it to teach other artists. Do you
That's
know what I
right.
mean? To kind of lift. I have this theory with representational painting and hopefully painting in general. It's like, fortunately, like some artists set up walls and they kind of battle each other. When I think
Hmm.
that the art world's hard enough as it is, but
I know.
it's fully
I know.
abundant. I think it's fully
Hmm.
abundant. There's collectors for all types of work that are going to love all
Hmm.
types of paintings, and that we
Hmm.
just should lift each other up because the rest of the world asks us, like, do you paint bathrooms? Or,
What do
you
you
know
do
what I
for,
mean?
yeah, what's your
Like, it's so
job?
looked down upon being an artist, I feel sometimes. It's like all
Uh,
of my friends here in Albuquerque, a lot of them are lawyers and doctors and like film
hmm.
producers and stuff like that. And the film
Hmm.
producers get the art thing, but the other guys are like, man, we can't understand how you make a living as a painter. Like, so it's definitely been. I want us all to like lift each other up. You know what I mean? A rising tide lifts all boats.
I
Is
know.
kind of
That's a
the
great point, man, because, you know, we're the only ones that really kind of understand why we do what we do, how we're still able to do what we do. So we should have some compassion. We should have some, you know, um, big open arms when we see each other rather than, we don't need any competition. I mean, we
yeah,
got it hard
with
enough out there,
ourselves. Yeah,
you know, and ourselves.
with
We
ourselves.
don't, we don't need, and that's what I like about, I know you got to be wrapping up, but that's what I like about you. I can only speak from my perspective. We've always had such a healthy respect for one another and each other's time and accomplishments. And that's, I think, if anything, that's what I appreciate you. The work is obviously great and on another level, but I do appreciate that. You know,
Awesome, man. Thanks.
I come to your shows, you come to my shows,
Yeah.
you know, show support and you know, anything I can do, anything you kind of done it for each other. So I appreciate that, man. I do. It's not a given because not everybody can do
Yeah,
it.
dude, we have your painting we just got framed on our wall. I keep trying to
A
get a good
little
picture. It's under
oil.
glass though.
Oh man,
We have two walls in in our home right now in our living room that has all of our friends' artwork up. It's kind of
that's
been
awesome.
awesome. Like we've only been able to collect small pieces from our friends, but it's been pretty
I
awesome.
know.
You have the one of the guy in profile that you painted, which is
I
amazing.
have I have the two of yours. Yeah, I have the two of yours. You gave me the study of
I did. I
uh,
gave you
the
something.
one for the DVD. Yes,
Oh,
yes.
right on.
Yes, and then there was an African American study from the league that you had done.
Oh, when I was a student.
You
Jeez.
don't.
Yeah,
It
don't
was
show
on
that to
paper.
anybody. Was it?
No,
Was that?
it was on. Yeah, I have
Jeez.
to send
That
it to you later. You don't remember.
yeah. Send me a pic. I'm
You
curious. I
would.
forget what that was. Yeah.
Yeah,
Jeez.
yeah. It was that famous model that everybody. Yeah,
At the
yeah.
league.
When we get off, I'll
Yeah.
send you a picture.
Text it to me. I guess we should just wrap up because we've gone
Okay.
40 minutes. But we should. If you're, I got to get to Alabama again, or you got to get
Come
to
on down, man.
Albuquerque.
Or I gotta get to Albuquerque. Yeah,
I want to go to
yeah.
Huntsville because isn't Huntsville I feel is almost like Albuquerque where it's kind of a microcosm within the state in a way. Like Albuquerque, we had
Hmm.
all these people come in. in the 30s and 40s to work on the Manhattan Project. And so they just kind of stayed out here. So there's brilliant people here that are scientists, and there's all the Sandia labs and the Los Alamos labs here, where there are all these brilliant people. And I'm guessing Huntsville, because of NASA and the space program, also has that same kind of like community that's kind of grown up in that are all kind of brilliant, which I think is pretty similar.
Yeah, they have the military here and all that kind of stuff. Shh. Who's back there?
Oh, Shayna just walked in. You want to say hi? She says she looks terrible, which is...
She's not camera ready. She's not camera
ready. Not camera ready.
I think she looks beautiful. Here she is.
That's enough.
She's always camera ready. Anyway,
look at me.
Awesome, man. I'm gonna text you when we get off.
Definitely. I'll send you this picture.
Maybe we'll do like a real FaceTime.
For sure.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool, man.
Thanks for doing this, man. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. We'll talk soon, man.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for being the first victim.
I know. Work out the tweaks on my back.
She's like cutting. It's like so loud. Sorry. I'm just kidding. Awesome, man. I'll take care. Thanks guys for coming in here. Actually, I didn't ask you guys any questions at all because I kind of kept the. I always notice the comments on these things get kind of weird and out of place a lot of times. But it looks like everyone's pretty awesome. I see Rebecca on here. I see Michelle. I like my magic mirror. When we were kids, I see Rebecca. I see Michelle. I said I was gonna go. Awesome. Cool, man. I'll let you go.
All right, brother. You be good.
I'll talk to you later.
Okay. All right. Bye.
Cheers.